What's going on, guys? My name is Jake, and welcome back to Gax Review. So today, we got a brand new tier list for you guys for Super Saturdays. We did a tier list last week. We did the Marvel Cinematic Universe and it went by so well. Thank you guys so much for commenting and engaging that video. I think it's my most commented video, and I love seeing you guys comment. So keep that up. I really do love that. And today, we're going to be talking about the DCEU. That's right, the DC Extended Universe. Oh boy, this is gonna get controversial. Before we get started, I got a couple things before we get into this. This is just my opinions and my thoughts on the movies. You don't have to agree with them. I'm gonna get very controversial with a lot of these, and that's okay. That's the beauty about movies. We all disagree on a lot of things. Second of all, there's gonna be no extended cuts in this. So Batman v Superman, the extended version or Ultimate Edition, whatever it's called, that's not gonna be included in this. This is just theatrical cuts. So we're only be talking about that because later, maybe next year when Justice League, the Zack Snyder cut, comes out, maybe we'll be talking about that a little bit later. But for now, this is just straight the DCEU. That means no Nolan's Batmans, unfortunately, and that also means no Joker. Joker is not part of the DCEU. If I was to put Joker would be on that amazing teetering around the GOAT tier. Dark Knight, just kind of giving these out. Dark Knight, the Batman Begins and Dark Knight would be in GOAT, and Dark Knight Rises would be in Great. So with that out of the way, as you can see, my tiers right here, they're pretty similar to last week's. I got GOAT, amazing, great, good, meh, not good, and we added a brand new tier because we're going to be touching this one a little bit more, called That's just how I felt physically and emotionally watching these movies. Yeah, I think that's covered everything. Before we get started, smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get into this. So, kicking this list off first is Man of Steel. Now, a couple of these movies I never actually watched for the first time until this week when I was trying to prepare for this video, and Man of Steel is one of them. I don't know what it is about Man of Steel. I feel like Man of Steel has been very, not controversial, but it's had very mixed opinions over the years. And as someone who's wanted to experience these for the first time, I thought Man of Steel was really good. So I'm going to put Man of Steel on the good tier. You know, I think Zack Snyder gets a lot of hate as a director, and for this movie, he's able to take such a really thematic approach, I feel like. And my buddy John mentioned at one point that it feels kind of more like human and personal, and kind of like a Terrence Malick film at points, which I kind of agree with. It really has that slow approach, and I think that first half of the film where they're building Superman's arc is really, really fun and really good and just very questionable, and I really like that. The second half does get a little Michael Bay-ish, and it's kind of just consistent, just in-your-face action, which isn't terrible. It's pretty well directed. It looks really good. It just kind of felt a little off to me. As well, I don't love Lois Lane and Clark. I don't really care about them. They don't really make an effort for us to care about it. And I think Zack Snyder, when he's given a good enough script, can make it work. And I think Man of Steel overall is a good script. I don't hate the Zod snap neck thing like a lot of other people do. I think it made sense. Something that didn't really make sense is Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. Again, haven't seen this. I heard so much hate about it, and I wanted to just focus on this on my own, and I just didn't want it to be like my experience skewed. Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice it's a tale of two movies to me. I like the dark approach. I think Zack Snyder did a really good job with that. But there are so many things in this film that just goes so wrong so quickly after it hits that halfway point. And I kind of enjoyed the first half. I enjoyed the conflict that they're building up towards, even though a lot of it doesn't really make sense. I don't love Ben Affleck as Batman. I know a lot of people do. I just hate seeing him with Batman with a gun killing people. I think it's weird. I think Jesse Eisenberg is really horrible as Lex Luthor, and I think his performance is good, but I think that it just does not fit at all in this movie because it's such a dark and serious film, and then you have Jesse Eisenberg going in there smacking people, and woo, that his typical Jesse Eisenberg stuff that doesn't really fit in the movie. And why is this called Batman v Superman? You could have just called this Dawn of Justice and had the same thing, because there is maybe 5 minutes of conflict between Batman and Superman, and it's resolved by Martha. Why did you say that name? And just that halfway point, and Doomsday, and the lack of Superman. There's just so much in this movie that is so frustrating to watch. it's not because I like that first half. I'm putting it in the not good tier list. I've heard the Ultimate Edition is leaps and bounds better, which I'm very excited to look forward to. There is so much in this film that is so dislikable, and that last half is just basically a cluster of just mess. And Doomsday is a terrible villain. They were clearly trying to set up their universe, and I like that darker approach, but it just did not work for me. Something else that didn't work for me. Oh boy, Suicide Squad. This trailer, again, with Batman vs Superman, they had great trailers and had me so hyped to see this. And I actually saw this one in theaters, and I remember looking across to my dad, going, "What is this movie?" Suicide Squad goes on the tier. This is a terrible movie. Jared Leto as Joker is so does not fit into this movie, and it's trying to go a silly route, but it doesn't get there. And there's some good performances in here. Harley Quinn, obviously Margot Robbie steals the show as her. I liked Will Smith as Deadshot, as well Captain Boomerang. I thought he was really good. But so the pieces are there. The story is just so formulaic and so cliched and so boring and so overdone. And we've just seen this done so many times before. If it's a film that ends with a giant beam in the sky, a giant arc, you know where it's going. And Enchantress. Oh no, Enchantress. I like Cara Delevingne too. She's not good in this movie. And it's just, they wanted this to be so many things, and they tried with so many things, and it just fell flat on its face. I did not like the musical sequences that they did with this, with the songs and musical choices didn't fit. And I have hope for James Gunn's Suicide Squad. We've seen what he's done with Guardians. Suicide Squad is not good. It's one of my least favorite movies I've seen in theaters. I still can't get that taste out of my mouth of seeing that movie. It's a terrible movie. If you guys like Suicide Squad, I want you guys in the comments. Why do you like it? Because I know there's some people that do like it. Do you ironically like it? Because I find there's almost nothing redeemable in this outside of the performances. But we're finally going to get into some good movies. Wonder Woman. This was a fresh breath of air. I'm going to put Wonder Woman in the great tier list. Now, I don't love Wonder Woman as much as a lot of other people do, but I think this is the first best female-led superhero movie we've had. I think Gal Gadot is great as Wonder Woman. She embodies this character completely, and I liked that they put this in a war setting, kind of similar to Captain America, the First Avenger. And this made me feel like DC, at its core, is best when it's focusing on these characters first. I didn't love her introduction in Batman v Superman, and I thought that she should have had a solo film first. And that's an issue we're going to get into a little bit later. And I think DC, when it focuses on its characters in a specific story, when it has that time, like Man of Steel, it's able to flesh its character out really well, and this should have came beforehand. The action's really good. Patty Jenkins does a great job directing it. That theme song is a banger, and I really like Chris Pine in the movie. I'm excited for its sequel. I think it's great. It doesn't hold up as well as it used to, but there's some really badass sequences in there, and you can't deny. Third act, I'm not a huge fan of the third act, but the first two acts are really strong, and that puts it in the great tier for me. Oh my god. It's slapping me in the face, and I hate talking so bad about movies. Justice League. It's going in the list for me. If you guys don't know, I actually grew up on DC. Like the old animated shows from the 2000s and the old movies that they used to put out. I loved those things. I was such a fan of those. So when we heard that they were getting a Justice League movie, it's so hard not to be excited for it, but so much went wrong with it also that Zack Snyder stepping down and Joss Whedon stepping in, and you can see those contrasts in the film. Like you can literally tell what's shot by Snyder and what's shot with Whedon because they have such different styles. And they thought, all right, what isn't working in these films? And they thought, oh, Marvel does the humor thing. Let's do that. And after you set up two prior films of Batman v Superman and Man of Steel, having a specific tone that was not that, and then you have these characters cracking jokes, it feels so weird. And I don't understand why we got a Justice League movie before we got any other origin story. Like Aquaman should have came first. We should have had a Cyborg film, or some part Cyborg should have been in another movie. We should have had Flash have his own thing. And all three of them, it does such a hard job. If you're trying to introduce these characters in a 2-hour time span on this film that's supposed to be a big payoff for what you've set up the past previous films, it does not work at all. And it doesn't feel like it was doing what it was supposed to be doing. It didn't really, like, nothing worked about this movie. I sound so flabbergasted talking about it because I was literally sitting there dumbfounded watching this thing. Like, that entire second half is just a CGI fight zone, and like it doesn't stop, and it's just a headache. And I don't know, guys. I really don't know with Justice League. I think Snyder's cut could be a lot better, because Whedon's cut of it is just downright horrible. And the dark side wasn't the problem with me. It was the fact that they never had good scripts, and this shows that they didn't have a good script. However, something that didn't have a good script but still ends up on that good tier for me is Aquaman. I really like Aquaman. I think Aquaman is the most batshit insane movie in the DCEU that kind of just does not care about anything else. And this is the film we should have got before Justice League. I think Jason Momoa is great as Arthur Curry. He's so over the top. And this film in general is over the top. Like, you're seeing wine being turned into wine bullets to kill people. And it's just little Krakens doing drums. I didn't watch this in theaters, which I feel like is a huge disservice to the film because it is visually stunning. And I know I talked about CGI messes in the other films. That doesn't look good. This CGI is stunning. It's probably one of the best CGI I've seen in a long time. And I think that the script's not great, and it kind of clashes with its tones a little bit because it has these really epic moments and then it has these really cheesy moments where you know it's going. And I think overall, those epic moments really outweigh those cheesy moments, and I think that I want to see a lot more in this universe, but without Amber Heard. Let's get Emilia Clarke in that role, shall we? Yeah, Aquaman's a really good movie, and now you can kind of see that DC's kind of starting to do its own thing. Next up, we got Shazam, and I'm going to throw Shazam in the great tier list. I think this is really... Aquaman and Wonder Woman are kind of the start of DC figuring out that, yeah, they should focus more on individuals. And this is such a fun, contained film. And I think David F. Sandberg brings such a funny and likable side to it, but also very dark. This film is kind of dark, and it mixes both of those elements very well. And obviously, Zachary Levi is... Like, I've always loved Zachary Levi. He has such a childish personality to him, but he also has those really fun moments that feels really serious when he can be. And just that idea of a kid just saying Shazam and turning into an adult and seeing an adult or a kid in an adult's body doing kid things is really fun. And no one else could have pulled that off like Zachary Levi. And I think it's a really fun coming-of-age film. I think that there's a lot of elements that really work in here. And if you haven't seen Shazam, because I know a lot of people haven't seen it, you really should check out Shazam. Even if you're not a fan of the DCEU, this is such a self-contained story that it's worth checking out on its own. And I think Shazam is one of my favorite in the DCEU, so that obviously puts on the great tier for me. And finally, we don't have a ton of movies in the DCEU. Not yet, at least there's tons planned. We got Birds of Prey, or The Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. That is a mouthful of a title. I like Birds of Prey. I'm teetering between the meh and the good tier list. I think I'm going to put it on the good tier list for now. I think that Birds of Prey is very similar to Deadpool, and I understand that. And obviously, Margot Robbie's great once again as Harley Quinn, and it was a really smart idea to put her in her own story. But obviously, Jared Leto leaving as Joker and kind of put them in a tough spot. And I think they really handled that really well. And I think Birds of Prey is also, once again, a really fun, contained story, but it's ultimately disposable at the end of the day. There's not a lot of substance in here, and I wish they did more of the Birds of Prey, because it's not really a Birds of Prey film. It's more of a Harley Quinn film, and I get that. And that's probably why I didn't do great at the box office, because they didn't market this well. There's some fun elements in here. I think the first two halves are kind of just like, okay, like, yeah, and that third act's really fun. But the action just feels really repetitive after a while, and I mentioned this in my other MCU tier list. Bring it back here. I don't want to keep bringing it back there, but I'm not a fan of when they put songs in the back of action sequences when it could have easily been done with an orchestral score. I can't say that word either. I like it. It's really disposable, and I honestly forgot that I saw this film this year. But that's not on the film at all. I think it's really fun, and if you haven't seen it, it's a good checkout. That's it for the tier list. Let's rank these in order now. As you can see, it's kind of a variety. Nothing hit that amazing and GOAT tier list. Nothing hit Matt either. It's either good and great or it's not good and I'm I'm going to put Suicide Squad at the end there because I can't get that taste out of my mouth. It's just a terrible movie. Justice League, barely ahead of it. My man. Next up in the not good tier list, obviously Batman vs Superman's going to stay there. In the good tier list, I'm going to keep Birds of Prey there. I'm going to keep Aquaman there. And I'm going to keep Man of Steel there. And then in the great list, I'm going to switch Shazam and Wonder Woman. That might be a controversial one, but I really love Shazam. I think it's everything that I looked for in this film. And as you can see with this tier list, if they just stay with the self-contained stories and stop trying to be like Marvel, it works. And that's what I hope they finally have figured out, is that keep on these individual stories. Do Shazam, do Wonder Woman, do Superman, do another Superman movie. Why don't we have one? Do Aquaman, do Harley Quinn, do all of these things, and you will get your successful universe. You do not need to copy Marvel style. You don't need to copy anything. You don't need team-ups. Now's not the time for that. Just, we have so many team-up films as it is. Go your own route. And I like that about DC. And I think this was a really fun experiment for me as someone who hasn't seen half of these until this week. I think that it gets a lot of flack. And those bad movies are really bad, but the good movies are really good. So if you haven't checked out any on those good lists, I urge you guys, please go check them out, especially with Wonder Woman 1980 whatever coming out later this year. If it comes out at all this year, I think you should go and watch these in preparation for it. Yeah, that wraps it up for my Super Saturday video. If you guys haven't already, I want you guys to leave a like and comment your favorite DCEU film. If you haven't already, leave a subscribe, and that would really help me out. We're on the road to 100 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for subscribing. I got a couple other videos planned for this week. Maybe top 5 films of the years so far is coming out this week. As well, we're prepping for next week's Umbrella Academy Season 2, so be prepared for that. I'm really excited for that. But other than that, I've been Jake. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys in the next one.